Wednesday saw one of the darkest days in professional wrestling history, when WWE suddenly released numerous wrestlers, backstage producers, and behind-the-scenes staff. Because of the Steve Corino crisis, WWE reportedly added hundreds more people to their ever-growing unemployment figures. Our WrestleTalk news episode yesterday was one of the most difficult I've ever had to make. There wasn't a single enter WWE star name here to AEW joke in the whole thing. Such respect, much poise. And I don't intend to make any more today, so enter WWE star name here to New Japan confirmed. With so many wrestlers sadly being released on Wednesday, a number of them are still somehow teasing showing up in other promotions, despite almost every wrestling company out there currently not running any shows. But not you, WWE, you're special. Former OC member Carl Anderson was one of the first releases WWE announced, so it's fitting he's the first one to overtly tease his next move, tweeting a video that shows a flight from Santa Monica, where he's currently based, to Tokyo, Japan, before ending on the name Machine Gun, with the voiceover in the same style as his old Bullet Club faction's Foot for Life intro video, of which he's a founding member, bringing back his Machine Gun name, the Bullet Club style voiceover, and the final location of Tokyo all strongly tease he's returning to New Japan, which he left in January 2016 as part of a top talent exodus to WWE, along with his tag team partner Luke Gallows, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And implying Anderson might be bringing his tag team partner with him, Luke Gallows has tweeted about their joint Good Brothers merch available on Pro Wrestling Tees. Interestingly though, AEW's Kenny Omega also posted about Anderson, tweeting, "Since I was absent from Dynamite, I wanted to show a rare match this week from my past, the only time I've ever wrestled against Carl Anderson. Fun match. Great memories." Carl Anderson to AEW confirmed. Damn it, I promised myself I wouldn't do that. Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's very special sponsor.
Introducing a revolution in gaming. FootMouse, the first science-based gaming mouse made for feet.
I've been using FootMouse since 2017, but not on land. There's a lot of controversy as to whether or not FootMouse should be termed illegal. It's just such a huge advantage, but it's still all about skill. FootMouse just raises the skill gap. It's a whole different level of play.
FootMouse, get your foot in the game.
And FootMouse is actually brought to you by this video's actual sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Pete'll never believe this. Pete. You never guess who's sponsoring us, Pete.
Why do you keep...
It's Raid Shadow Legends!
Raid Shadow Legends is the dark fantasy RPG game for your phone that's taken over the internet, where you assemble a team of legends to battle in the arena against other players, or my favourite part, the fully voiced campaign mode. And their rewards program has now been extended from 90 days to 180. And unlike WWE, Raid rewards you for putting time into it, where you can claim daily login rewards like the Barbarian legendary champion Skill of the Drake, who I think might actually be Charlotte Flair from Triple H's WrestleMania 30 entrance. Raid is free to play on mobile devices and PC, so download the game using WrestleTalk's special links in the video description below, where you'll get 100,000 silver and the free champion Acolyte, which you can collect by clicking in the top right of the home screen in the first 30 days. While it may seem like longer, Raid has actually only just turned 1 year old, and they've been so supportive of our channel, which we need now more than ever. So show them a bit of love back and check out the game, as it really helps us out. Anderson isn't the only just-released WWE star that the AEW co-executive vice presidents are publicly courting on the Soch though, as Cody Rhodes has posted about how proud he is of his friend Zack Ryder on Instagram, commending him for exuding passion and drive like no other, and saying his little rule that if you've ever gotten over in wrestling, you can always do so again, and that Ryder's best days are ahead of him. Cody has repeatedly said in interviews over the last year that if he could sign just one person from WWE to AEW, it would be Ryder. Zack Ryder to AEW confirmed. While released last Friday instead of part of Wednesday's mass WWE firings, the Revival are also unsurprisingly being courted by AEW, if they haven't agreed terms behind the scenes already. Jim Ross told Bleacher Report recently the former Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder are one of my favourite teams, saying that he hopes they come to AEW. After asking for their releases since last January, that certainly seems a high probability. They don't actually have a 90-day non-compete, with their releases being effective immediately as of last Friday. But as AEW aren't filming any new content because of stay-at-home orders, them turning up anytime soon on Dynamite is unlikely. But now, we might already know their new tag team name for when they do. After releasing multiple FTR-branded shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees last Saturday, PW Insider is now reporting the former Wilder applied for the trademark Fear the Revolt the same day they were released by WWE, implying that's what the initials will now stand for, which has previously been everything from F-Word the Revival to Farewell the Revival. Scott Dawson will seemingly now go by the wonderfully pornographic Dax Harwood, and Dash will be Cash Wheeler. Harwood leaned into the porn star name and their new Fear the Revolt trademark, tweeting, "From my front porch to yours, cheers. Let's start a revolution. Hashtag FDR peace emoji. With one sweet mustache. Cash to mustache break confirmed." Okay, now back to the rubbish stuff. Really sad segue. Following Black Wednesday, more details are coming out about what happened behind the scenes. Unlike the Revival's release, effective immediately, PW Insider is reporting all the wrestlers released on Wednesday still have their 90-day non-compete clauses in place. That means they won't be able to wrestle for any major US promotions until the 15th of July. While that doesn't really affect anything, as no other major promotions are expected to run shows for months, it's another bitter twist to how poorly WWE handled the firings. The backstage producers let go, however, including names like Fit Finlay, Shane Helms and Billy Kidman, were furloughed rather than fully released, likely because of their employee status with the company. Wrestling Inc. is reporting the current furlough end date is the 1st of July, at which point they'll hopefully return back to work. But that date is subject to extension given the current situation and ongoing uncertainties. The furloughed producers are not receiving pay during this time, and some in the company believe it could last as long as 6 months. Unsurprisingly, WrestlingNews.co is reporting morale at WWE offices in Stamford, Connecticut is at an all-time low, with those not fired still fearing for their jobs, especially if the promotion remains unable to put on live events. And PW Insider adds at least 40% of the company was gone after Wednesday. There's apparently many more employees that were let go that haven't been made public, and Dave Meltzer has added there are still more to be announced, mainly from NXT, as nobody expects more main roster cuts, even the bunch of people who weren't being used or booked well, as those people were apparently saved, implying the feared SmackDown cuts won't be happening today. It must be reiterated that this isn't the case of a financially struggling company cutting costs to survive. WWE currently has $500 million in reserves. Dave Meltzer and WrestleNomics instead point to the cuts being to babyface the company to investors for next Thursday's quarterly earnings call, which is looking increasingly tough with the very low numbers coming out for WrestleMania 36. Thanks for your support on Patreon, Ryan B. Bad. Despite Mania somehow being really good despite the world ending around it, financially and interest-wise, it'll go down as a disaster for WWE. WrestleMania 36 marked the first time since the network launched where WWE pushed viewers to buy the show on pay-per-view over their own streaming platform. But big shock! People weren't that interested in spending $60 for WrestleMania when they can just buy it for $9.99 on the network, because according to WrestleNomics and Cage Side Seats, WrestleMania 36 didn't even reach 1,000 pay-per-view buys on Fight. That is catastrophically low, especially for a company who, pre-network, would expect at least 750,000 buys, if not more, for WrestleMania. The top 8 Mania pay-per-view buy rates of all time all exceed 1 million each. But the bad news doesn't end there. WWE are only now getting around to refunding live tickets that were purchased for WrestleMania, and WrestleNomics adds that by moving WrestleMania to the Performance Center, WWE lost out on an estimated $22 million, along with cancelling the surrounding events of NXT TakeOver Tampa Bay, the Hall of Fame, and WrestleMania Access. But with more people stuck at home with nothing to do right now, you'd think that would at least drive some bored interest in the show, with people searching for results online. Last week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, though, reveals that Night 2 of WrestleMania 36 earned just 270,000 searches on Google Trends. A normal night of WrestleMania generates between 3 and 4 million searches. But it's not all bad numbers for WWE, as they beat AEW in the ratings again this week. Despite the mass releases on Wednesday and the social media call to boycott NXT, the show still beat AEW Dynamite, drawing an average of 692,000 viewers to AEW's 683. For what it's worth, AEW was pre-recorded, whereas NXT was live, suggesting viewers do prefer wrestling as it happens. As if these last few days haven't been bad enough, legendary ring announcer and WWE Hall of Famer The Fink Howard Finkel passed away yesterday at the age of 69. The Fink was one of the most iconic and recognizable voices in WWE history, alongside the likes of JR and Mean Gene Okerlund, helping create stars just by making their entrances and championship wins feel that much more epic, with the Fink's trademark, "And you." There has been an outpouring of well-wishing and memories from across the wrestling world, which show the Fink wasn't just an iconic and irreplaceable part of wrestling history, but also a sweet, gentle, and kind man who cared for the business and the people within it. Summed up by the picture Tommy Dreamer posted of him and the Fink during the last years of his life, with a sign in the background that reads, "Please put channel 43 on at 8 p.m. on Monday nights. Wrestling is on," as he couldn't operate the remote control or phone properly. The voice of wrestling has been silenced, but will not be forgotten. The wrestling world has had a very rough week, so let's end this episode on a high note, because Roman Reigns and his wife Galina Jolie Becker have announced they're expecting twins again, which means Reigns will soon be a dad to 5 little puppies. You go, big dog. Watch Wrestling with Regrets Brian Zane get the highest score ever in last night's Quizzlemania by clicking the video on the right. And we saw 2 major NXT debuts in this week's episode. Find out Laurie's and Pete's thoughts by clicking the video below that. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.